Fani Willis, right? So she's on trial right now. They're trying to test whether or not she's going to be removed from the case. She indicted Donald Trump on August 14th, 2023, and it was a numerous charges, over 30 to 40 different sets of charges, stemming from anywhere from false statements, conspiracy, multiple charges of conspiracy, false statements, multiple counts of false statements, conspiracy, criminal intent, a bunch of numerous different charges that dealt with from anywhere from false statements to conspiracy to falsifying documents. So there's a lot there, right? She got indicted. Donald Trump got indicted, and now as the indictment goes on, and they're trying to begin trial, she hires a special prosecutor by the name of Wade. This individual comes on her team. Now, as Trump's investigators do research and dive in and figure out who's this special prosecutor, we have to know because he's going against our client. We have to figure it out. They come up with evidence that's suggesting those two are in a relationship somehow. Now, if anybody knows law or knows criminal justice system, there's something called a conflict of interest, right? Even if you're a defense attorney or a prosecutor, it doesn't look good if the person that is in line with you, fighting with you, is someone you're constantly having sexual relations with, right? It doesn't build your case, and it doesn't build you up to be non-biased when it comes to practicing the law, right? So that's the issue there. If they're having a relationship and they didn't disclose it, that's a problem. So now the trial's going on. It's all about the timeline. Were you with Mr. Wade such and such time? Did you guys go on trips? Did you guys have sex, intercourse? Who knew about the relationship? Who was involved? Did anybody else know? All these things, different type of things to establish a timeline.
A lot of it is also financial as well.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
There appears to be some sort of what's being alleged anyway is that there is a financial gain from between himself and Fani based on him being appointed as a special prosecutor in the Donald Trump indictment. So it's a lot there aside from just the are y'all having relations, but are y'all also financially gaining from appointing this gentleman as special prosecutor, or was this a non-biased choice in electing him as special prosecutor as opposed to Joe Schmo, who you don't have any relationship with?
Absolutely. Like, was this based on meritocracy, or was this based on nepotism, or he's my lover, I'm gonna bring him in, right? And like you said about the financial stuff, it could be like double dipping, right? Because she's a Fulton DA, she's also a state attorney. Is she paying him from her pot? Where's she getting the money from? So there's a lot of questions. There was one of the questions during the trial. Trial's about 7 hours long. Anybody that studies law that knows these type of trials can last a long time, and maybe days and weeks on end until the judge makes his final decision on whether she's going to be removed from the trial or not. So he asks her, like, hey, do you keep money in your house? Where do you lay your head? And, Fani Willis says, growing up, my dad used to always say, keep money in the house, right? Always keep money in the house. So she has money in her house. She has anywhere from $500 to a couple of thousand.
She said that he told her to keep 6 months worth of cash on you in your house at all times. So apparently that's a regular thing for her, is keeping cash, having I guess a safe of cash in her residence at all times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which, is understandable, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not a bad thing to have money, to have cash on you. It's like, it just goes, where did the money come from? That's where it's tied to. Did this come from your bank account? Did this come from your direct deposit that you got from the state, and then you paid Mr. Wilson Mr. Wade on the side? They're trying to create a trail. Now, when I think the next day on trial, I seen a clip. Her father comes on. Her father says he said, "Oh, I want to talk about the money in the house thing. For you guys don't know, that's a black thing." And I was sitting there, I'm like, that's not really a black thing. I know people of all races that have money in their house. Everybody got a stash of cash in their house somewhere. Everybody got a stash of cash. I don't care what race you are. Not everybody puts all their money in the bank. That go for white, black, Spanish, um, Haitian, Dominican, whoever you are. Everybody knows you have to have some type of money or stash out of the bank
For
because you don't
sure.
want the government to have all your money, right? So I don't think that's
100%.
necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily a black thing. But I guess he had to clarify that because I guess they didn't understand that for whatever. But I think Fanny, when they asked her that question, she clarified several times. Like her dad always told her to have money in the house, 6 months worth, always have it in the house, no matter what, because you never know what's going to happen. And I think it comes from not relying on a man to provide for you. And I felt that a lot during the trial with the questioning. She really is a very profound black woman. And I think she's very strong and independent. I will give her grace on that. And I
Yeah, I
think she was
agree.
brought up. I think she was brought up very well. I think she's extremely intelligent. I think she's a well-rounded woman. But
As a
the law is
matter of
the
fact, before you continue, she did
but
also make it a point that that was a point of contention between herself and Mr. Wade, was the fact that she
yep,
didn't want to take money from him, or that she didn't want him paying
absolutely.
for things for her. She
Yep.
made an emphasis, or made it a point to be specific that, a man is not a commodity. A man is not a savior, and that a man is a companion. So her angle was that everything that they did was split down the middle. He
Yep.
didn't he didn't
50-50.
take care of her in any sort of way.
Yep.
He didn't come to her residence at any point. That everything they did was strictly half and half. So go ahead,
Yeah.
continue. My fault.
And I think with Fani Willis, like I remember her opening questioning, she got very upset because she was saying like these are all lies. Everything is a lie. Everything you guys are saying are lies. Lies, lies, lies. And I think we gotta remember though, this woman is extremely intelligent lawyer. She knows how to be cross-examined. She knows when people are asking her leading questions. She knows when people are asking her misleading questions, right? So she knows how to answer them correctly. So when I'm seeing her answer them, I'm looking at it like she know the game. She knows that the yes or no question, she's not going to answer them yes or no. She's going to provide explanation because it's going to confuse the audience and it's going to confuse the judge and it's going to confuse the prosecutor that are asking her the question. She knows that. She knows that because every answer, I swear to God, every answer they asked her, she had to explain it. And they kept asking the man, Mr. Yes or no? No, I have to explain. When you do that explanation, it takes more time. It confuses the judge. It confuses the prosecutor. So they got to rethink. Like, all right, how do I ask the next question and the next
Right,
question and the next question? So it's a chess game. She's very intelligent.
right,
She's
for
very
sure.
smart.
And that's the thing with the lawyer who's questioning her, is that
Yeah.
they have to do their due diligence with leading these questions, because
Yep.
if you make it so open ended, you're going to give her the judge is going to give her the opportunity to
Yep.
answer the question the way
Yep.
she feels fit. So if
Yep.
you ask a blanket question, or if you ask a question that doesn't really tie into something specific, she's got the platform at that point to
Mm-hmm.
add as much nuance or add as much context as
Yep.
possible, to which she did a lot of.
Yep.
A lot of her answers were a little bit long-winded, and um, with the spirit of giving complete context so
Yep.
that there were no misunderstandings, because I guess from her perspective, she's looking at these documents and, like you said, basically saying that this is all a bunch of lies. And
Mm-hmm.
so once those questions got asked, the way that they were asked, not even just that they were asked, but the way in which they were asked, it opened the door for her to give her full context, as opposed to just simply answering yay or nay.
Yep. And I think with those questions, right, like you said, the lawyer that is questioning her, she seems pretty bright too, but I think she didn't do enough homework on Fanny. I think she not. I mean, because the way I'm looking at it, like even it was a simple question, like where were you on this day? Oh, I have to provide context. I'm like, no, you don't, man. It's either were you there or were you not? Yes or no. And it's giving her a lot of leeway, like you said. They asking her a bunch of nuanced questions, but I think people got to remember, the audience got to remember, this all breaks down to whether or not the relationship happened during a certain period of time. And if it did, she's getting removed off the case. If it didn't, she stays on the case. So my question to you, Chris, if you're Donald Trump, or if you're in the same situation, you know what I mean? Do you think you think it's fair if someone appoints somebody as a special prosecutor that they had relations with. You
I
think
mean,
that's
at the
fair?
end
You
of
think
the day,
that's fair game?
I mean, at the end of the day, it was an undisclosed relationship, so I don't think that I think they're going to get removed from the case, point blank. Period. Do I
Yeah,
think that it's fair? I don't know the brother's background, so he may be extremely qualified. He may be a very skilled prosecutor, and that's all dope. Like that's all good because ultimately you want the best person up there
right. You want the best of the
trying the
best.
case, like because it's an important case at the end of the day as well
Right,
too, you know. So with that being said, you wanna be in a position where the opposition doesn't have any ammunition that they
mm-hmm,
can use
mm-hmm.
to call for a mistrial or
Yep,
call for the
yep,
charges to be dismissed. So when you consider all those things, I think it was a mistake to appoint him in the first place. Now, I don't think, from what I heard or from what I read, he wasn't necessarily the first choice, but most people didn't want to take this case, so it ultimately fell onto him as he was just the next most qualified person.
right, right.
But even with that being said, knowing that there was a relationship of some kind, regardless of how intimate it was, the fact that there was a relationship where there were personal trips being taken,
Yep.
personal time being spent outside the workplace.
Finances being exchanged, money being
Yeah,
exchanged.
exactly. Things like that. It adds a layer in there for for the defense to call into question the legitimacy of the entire thing. And when
Yep,
you fight in a case this big, like I said, you want to make sure you dot your T's. I mean, you dot your I's and you cross your T's. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I don't think it. I think that they're doing the best job that they believe that they can do. Unfortunately, though, when you make a mistake like this, you put yourself in a position to jeopardize the entire thing. And that's what
yep,
to me, that's what they've done at this point
yep.
is the focus is no longer um, the election interference or trying to steal an election, the allegations that were made against the people who were charged. The focus is now on the prosecutor and her personal
Mm-hmm.
life and the salaciousness around surrounding her personal life. So um, I think it was a mistake. I think it was something that it was an oversight that should have been caught well before we got to this point. And now
Right.
that we're here, it's no telling how the case is going to unfold. Like, I think that she's going to get removed. I think he'll get removed. And at that point, is the case actually even going to get tried? So I
No, I
don't think he
mean,
should have been appointed at all.
yeah, I'm in the same sentiment as you. I think, like you said, a case of this importance, like, you can't leave any stone unturned, right? You got to make sure your shit is perfect. Because what did this lead to, right? So just something as, people might say that, oh, this doesn't mean anything. It's not that serious. I get it. But what it leads to is if this case went to a point where they didn't bring the A game and Donald Trump does get mistrial or acquitted or whatever happens, people are going to go back and find evidence and say, oh, well, they were in a relationship. This was because they were incompetent or they were sleeping around and they weren't focused enough. That's why he got off. So I think I would rather have a story of two competent individuals. They did everything they could. Um, they just didn't get the job done, or they did get the job done. And look, he's in jail now. But rather it be um, he gets off because of a technicality, right? Like that's something where it's like, I mean, that's really BS. I'd rather him get off because the evidence doesn't show what, or he goes through the trial and it just, it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go because of what happened, but not because of a technicality where you got the prosecutor sleeping with another prosecutor. That's why, and then that also goes into effect of now we got to look at her past cases because did she have special prosecutors appointed in the past cases? Did this happen because she appointed this guy? What was going on? Is there any prosecutorial misconduct? So
Man,
all
free
these,
YSL, free
yeah,
YSL, because
so
there's apparent conflict of interests in that case as well, with her allegedly having relations with the victim in that case as well. So free
who? Fannie
YSL,
Will, Fannie
Fani
Willis?
Willis, yes, Fani Willis allegedly again,
So
I'm saying allegedly
it's
because I don't,
alleged,
you know what I'm saying, I don't want no smoke with
Everything's
nobody,
alleged.
but allegedly had relations with the main victim in that trial as well. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they're looking into Fani Willis now. Like,
So that's the thing. Like, so now it's like we're gonna open up the whole storybook. We're gonna go through all her cases because they can bring in a special investigator or a special prosecutor to go through everything, to comb through everything. The FBI can send somebody. I mean, the DOJ can send somebody to go through and comb everything because if this opens up one little snippet, then the whole storybook gonna be open. Then we're gonna go through case by case by case by case and see if there was any nefarious reasons as to why this person was convicted. Did she have a relationship with this person? Was this relationship disclosed or not disclosed? Like it opens the door to so much things. But like you said, not to get along with it, I agree with you. She should be removed from the case because it seemed like, irregardless, they had a relationship, and it seemed like she picked him. Now, why she picked him? Like you said, he wasn't the first choice. There's so many attorneys in this world. You could have found another one. You can't say you couldn't have found nobody else. You could have found somebody. You talking about nobody wanted to take this case. Nobody wanted to try Donald Trump and go down in law school history, law infamy. Nobody wanted to do that. Come on, man. Don't give me that. Don't give me that nonsense, man. Don't give me that. Don't give me that.
I
Give me that.
mean, it's going to be like we both said. It's going to take away from the importance of the case now at this point, and it's kind of like a formality that she'll probably get removed. It's it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
unfortunate to see, to me, in my opinion, because she is a
Mm-hmm.
black woman, and like you
Yeah.
said, the way she represented herself
Yeah.
on the
Solid.
stand, I
Solid.
thought was
Solid.
admirable. Like
Solid.
I
Like
genuinely appreciated her
solid.
demeanor.
I have no bad will to say about her. I think she's a solid, excellent attorney. I think she is very comparable of what she does. I think she's very competent. But this little pen stroke of nonsense is gonna be a bad book on her.
And you're dealing with Donald freaking Trump.
Like
Like,
you don't like, bro. You don't think he don't have investigate? Like I don't understand.
yeah,
I'm
man.
confused.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where it's a mistake that shouldn't have happened, because you taint your entire case. Like, you taint your entire case, and not. I don't know, how strong the evidence was in the first place. I can't speak to that right now.
Me neither.
But the fact of the matter is, regardless of how strong the evidence was, the defense now has real ammunition
Really has all of it.
to get this, if not thrown out, get assigned into the hands of another prosecutor. And
Yep.
being as
Yep.
though you're the Fulton County District Attorney, you're the
Yep.
highest prosecutor in that land. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody can do that job to the level of which you can do it. And now,
here's the issue there. There's the issue there. Like they might have to bring somebody from the outside to come do this because I don't know.